Welcome to this week's episode of the Go and OB Golf Podcast. I'm trying something a bit different this week. I'm on the video as well, so I'm going to try and edit some video afterwards, which will be interesting. I think I've only finally got the hang of the audio, so now we're going to try video. So this is what my face looks like. Handsome, eh? Handsome. The last couple of weeks, I've asked for you guys to get in touch with me so that I can hear your stories. And it occurred to me this week, I haven't actually given you my golf story. So that is what this week's episode is going to revolve around. So I'm Craig. I'm currently 40 years old. Married. My wife Stacey is a self-employed businesswoman, which keeps her busy. My son Oscar, who's 13, plays for his local football team, Anniston Rangers, in Midlothian. They're about to embark on their second season at 11-a-side, so that'll be interesting. We were at a Player of the Year awards last night, so well done to everybody that won an award. My daughter Roxy is 7. She appeared on the last podcast. She was buzzing with her 45 seconds of fame. So going by that, she's still got another 14 minutes and 15 seconds if you take this everybody's famous for 15 minutes analogy. So Roxy does a lot of dance classes. She's involved in Highland. She does ballet, tap, all of those things. So there's a lot of my time and my wife's time is spent running the kids around, which I'm sure happens in every household up and down the country. You become a taxi service for your children and you end up becoming involved in all the things that they're involved with. Such as, so the wee one, as I said, she does a lot of dance classes. I tend not to do the dance things. I do the outdoor sports with Oscar, take him and stand on the sidelines when it's pissing rain and snow and wind, because neither of the two girls particularly like that. So recently, well not recently, maybe in the last 6 months or something, I've been going line dancing. I like country music, went to a country music night and I was speaking to a load of the older ladies and I was like, how do you guys know all these moves? And they're like, oh, we go to a class, it's just in the hall up the road from in the village from where I stay, so I've been going to that on a Wednesday night now, which is good and I am enjoying it and I'm getting better. But it's kind of hampered my golf this season because Wednesday nights, Oscar does training and he's away for an hour and a half. He trains on a Monday as well and a Friday, but on the Monday nights, I normally drop him off, nip up to the golf for an hour and a bit, pick him back up again. I'm not being able to do that on a Wednesday. I'm not saying my golf is suffering because I've been going line dancing. That's a long-term problem. That's a long-term problem that I've had. But it's obviously not benefiting me as much as I thought it would. But I'm still getting out there and I'm still trying. I touched on before, I'm a member at a local course. It's a 9-hole course, which is perfect. I joined there last year, having been at one of the other local courses where I just wasn't getting to play as much and it was difficult to get out and get round for a full 18 holes. So at least having the benefit of this just being a 9-hole course, it's not a short Mickey Mouse course by any means, but it is a 9-hole course, 2 par 5s. But it means I can get out, get some games in before I have to go back to doing dad duties again. I'm going to try and nip out for a few holes later today and maybe tomorrow, and I think that'll probably do me for the week because I do have a number of things on the go. I played on Tuesday last week at Longnidry, which is a course down in East Lothian, with one of the guys from my work, Jeff. He's a member there. My God, that was hard. I have played a number of like parkland courses over the years, and I've always been members of parkland courses because in Scotland it's very difficult to get into links courses unless you have the money to pay yourself in. There's a couple of them have waiting lists at last. I phoned one of them the other day, which I've been trying to get into for a while, or fancy getting into for a while, and the waiting list is now at 4 years. So yeah, it's going to take some time, but it's currently closed, so you can't even get onto the waiting list. So that's going to take a bit of time. So we played Long Nidre. Course was in great condition. I got out the car, jumped on the practice green, and you maybe drop 2 or 3 balls, and while you're waiting on the other guys coming, you're just knocking them up to the hole, and everything was going miles past. The putting green was lightning. Now, I tend not to take a lot from what the putting greens are like on courses, because they're never the same, and they've not had the same attention as the full course greens, which is what you would expect. But I'm telling you, these ones in Long Nidre, the putting green was rapid, the actual greens were rapid. The fairways were, as you'll probably have seen on the television from a number of links courses, they were that golden, heathery coloured. They were burnt out a bit because of the recent spell of good weather we've had. And the fairways are fast, and they're all bumpy. So if you're not hitting, I stand on a tee and I'll just hit this 2-iron that I've got, because I'm potentially a founding member in the No Driver Club. I'm trying to get other people involved in it, but I maybe realise now that maybe wasn't the best idea. I was angling on the side of, don't have a driver, I can't put myself in trouble. But you then go to these places, and when the wind is blowing a hoolie, as we say in Scotland, which it was on Tuesday, it's very difficult to compete and kind of be in the hole. So yeah, the wind's just killing. I'm hitting about 230 or something with this 2-iron, and then you obviously get a bit of run. Now I'm hitting it into the wind, and I'm only maybe getting 180, and it's running 20, but it's bumping, hitting off every bump, all the little hillocks, and it runs down into the sides. The rough's quite penal as well. So really tough track, Long Nidre, but it was really good fun. And I don't know if it's a bit sadistic, I do quite like the challenge of these links courses, and I like it difficult. However, I did shoot a 96. That was the other thing. My handicap's 18.2, but as the world handicap, but you obviously get a course handicap. Clicked on the app, got my thing set up, and it was giving me 21. So I'd already, before I'd started, decided that this is going to be too hard a course for you, Craig. Here's an extra 3 shots. And then I was 5 or 6 or 7 over that handicap anyway. So it won't be a counter, but it's another 18 holes that goes in. It might further add some strength and weight to my potential ongoing battle with this Scottish Golf Union about these. Should you be allowed to put in for 9 holes? But that's a conversation for another day. That's not what this podcast is about today. So yeah, played on Tuesday last week. Really enjoyable. Jeff was the same. He's a member there, and even being a member, it's a difficult track. But I would highly recommend it. So if you get a chance and you're in East Lothian, go down and play Long Nidre. There is a number of other courses down East Lothian which are equally as good. Some of them are very elite, and you will probably struggle as a average Joe to get on them. However, if you get a chance to come and play links golf down East Lothian, you should definitely take it. So that's a bit of what I've been up to this week. Sorry, my daughter just poked her head in the office there while I'm trying to record, so I've got to take her out to the shops once I get finished with this. So yeah, that's a bit of what I've been up to this week. I want to give you a bit of a history of me. So as I said at the start, my name's Craig. I started playing golf when I was 10. I went down to my dad, who will probably be spoken about in podcasts to come, affectionately known by both my kids as Kirky Boy. They've never ever called him Grandad. So yeah, Kirky Boy took me to golf when I was 10. We joined Royal Musselburgh. I was there as a junior. I played 1 medal when I was there. Didn't like the whole being on the first tee nerves. In fact, the first tee at Royal Musselburgh was a long par 4, and I pumped it into the shite on the left hand side and lost the ball. That's my kind of only memory of playing in my first official medal. Got my handicap and I was 28 at that point. Took some lessons with a local pro there. They did stuff on a Saturday morning where you went down to the lagoons, and you were just kind of hitting balls out. It was me and a few of the other guys. The other guys played on the kind of junior teams. I never got involved in any of that. So we'll go for lessons down there. They did the whole, you've got a good natural rhythm and there's not a lot we need to teach you and stuff. I don't know whether that was just being kind, or whether they were just after my money on that Saturday morning. But yeah, so played at the age of from the age of 10, started doing lessons, played that competition. I then kind of played a bit off and on with some of my pals when we were younger. We played the Braids, we played Craig Miller Park, we played Silver Nows, which was a 9-hole course. But the Braids was kind of where we played and kind of cut our teeth, which is a difficult golf course for anybody trying to get started. My kind of lasting memory for that one was one summer we dropped off in the morning, the round's going well, we're playing one of the holes, which I can't remember what it was. It was on Braids 2, which was supposed to have been the slightly easier course. And we've come back up the hill. I don't quite know how it happened, but we've seen a snake going across the fairway. So my pal Brian drops his bag on the floor. We've seen the snake angle towards this bag, and the snake's then disappeared. Nobody knows where it is. So Brian just left his bag. He's like, I'm not touching that. Left his bag. Went back to the car park, phoned his mum. We were getting picked up again, and she'd to come with us, and we had to wander back up to try and find this golf bag that none of us were prepared to touch in case there was a snake in the bottom of it. So yes, the Braids is a tough track. They've since merged that into 2 courses. So as I said, there was course 1 and course 2. They've now just got it. Some of the better holes from course 2 and the better holes from course 1, and made one really good course out of it, and it's kind of the jewel in the Edinburgh Council's crown as far as the courses go. So yeah, played a bit through then, started working at the age of 19, left school, did alright qualifications wise, but left school, started working, and then I got involved in kind of playing with a bit from guys through work, and I joined, not long after that, I joined Liberton. So started playing there, got myself a handicap again, because obviously my previous one had lapsed, still in the high 20s. I then managed to get that down at one point to 15, which to this day is still the lowest that I've ever been. So played there, played with my dad, a few of his pals, played with some of the younger juniors when I was there. And then I left, and I took a different job. I joined Royal Musselburgh Golf Club again for a year. That was good, but I didn't tend to play that much. I thought I was going to be able to get out before work and after work and things. That never quite happened, just with family lives and other commitments. So that never happened. Went back to Liberton again, played there for another couple of years, and I became the junior convener. Well, I say I became the junior convener. I was put into that role. There was a previous convener there who was struggling to get kids to turn up. They were organising team matches. Now, look, for years, Liberton had historically had a really good junior team, and a lot of the guys had gone on and played and represented Scotland as part of the junior team. So they were the kind of creme de la creme of the area. I then took over. Those guys had left. We kind of had a new breed of kids coming through, but a lot of the kids that were there at that time were members because their parents or their grandparents were members, and at that point golf's really like a second sport for them. A number of them were doing hockey, basketball, some of them were playing in rugby teams, at good levels, so they were just using golf as a kind of second pastime. So trying to get them to commit on every second Saturday to come out and play a competition was very difficult, and the team just kind of petered out. At that point, as I said, work was getting a bit busier, and the home life was getting a bit busier, so I left Liberton, which was a bit further away, joined Broomy Now, played there for a season, reunited with my pal Craig, who I used to stay with, and we were trying to get out as much as possible, but it was really difficult. He was getting his handicap cut on a weekly basis, and he's continued to keep playing. He's now down to 5, so his golf's obviously trending in the right direction. And then the beginning of this year, as I said, I've joined Whitehill House with a couple of the guys in the village, and we're getting out probably more now than we were before. So that is my kind of journey up till this point. I have had 2 hole-in-ones in my life, both of which have been at Liberton. The first one was on the 25th of July 2010. It was a Sunday sweep, which was good and bad, because if it had been a medal, it would have probably bankrupted me. But it was just a sweep, so it's just whoever turned up on the Sunday, and we all chipped in a couple of pounds and we went and played. So really windy and testy conditions. Got round to, I'm standing on the tee on 17, and I've taken a 7-iron. It's windy behind, pumped the ball up in the air, it's dropped down and rolled into the hole. I've obviously just hit the ball thinking it was in the general direction of the green, and the two guys that are standing on the 18th tee have shouted up to us to say it was in the hole. So go down, there it is, there's a 1 on my card. I then stood on the 18th tee and stuck it away up the first, which ran parallel with 18. Didn't quite lose it at that point, but it was touch and go, but it was just so much adrenaline. Knocked the ball up, I think I finished up with a 5 or a 6. The interesting part of the story, though, is that my card that day read everything from a 1 to a 10. So I'd had, consecutive numbers all the way up. I entered there used to be a thing in the Sunday Mail, which is a newspaper in the UK, where they did a competition called Where Eagles Dare, and anybody that had an ace could write in and tell them their story. I did, and was fortunate enough with 20 other guys to be picked out, and I went on a 2-day competition up in St Andrews at St Andrews Bay Hotel. So myself and my wife went up, overnight accommodation, round the golf on the Saturday, a big meal, prize giving, things on the Sunday. So that was really good. That was just kind of one of the benefits of the ace there. So that was the first one. My second one came on the 13th, which is again a par 3, on the 4th of July 2021. So July seems to be my month for aces. There was nothing this year and nothing the years in between. But that one was, again, I was playing with Kirky Boy. We're playing against two of his pals. We were playing a bit of a match play. We've got round to the 13th. I think we were 1 down, and at this point I've said to him that I had better start contributing. I literally walked on the tee and I was like, Kirky Boy, I need to start contributing here. Put the ball on the tee, banged it straight into the hole. 1 hop, straight into the hole. So, seems to be more fortune than skill with me. I'm just going to put the ball down and hit it up in the air, because both my rounds were kind of gone. So ace from there, stood on the tee on 14 and stuck the ball out of bounds, because again the adrenaline was going. So we got back to all square and then went 1 down again after that. That's kind of my career highlights. It's my 2 holes in 1. The 2 guys that I did my previous podcast with, Eric and Logan. Eric's a low handicapper and Logan is a ex-PGA pro, and neither of the 2 of them have had them. So that kind of comes in as my biggest accomplishment, is I was on a golf podcast with 2 golfers that are far superior to me, and I've had 2 aces, and they've not actually have the ace balls behind me here. If you're watching on the screen, you can see the 2 of them from here. So that's my career highlights. My career lows are that I cannot get lower than 15 despite all my efforts. I've tried over the years. I buy clubs rather than taking lessons. I touched on it last week. I'm a big equipment guy. If somebody tells me this is the club for you, this will add distance, this will keep you straight, I'll buy it. The amount of money I've wasted over the years that I could have spent on lessons and potentially been better would have been I didn't even bear thinking about, to be honest with you. The biggest fault, I think, is in my head. I underclub a lot, all the time actually, and when I do look at my watch and I see what my distance is to the middle of the green or what I've got to the back, I pull something that I think is going to make the middle and I'm still short. I'm so tentative with everything that I'm playing, and I'm playing like 3/4 shots, so it's all in my head, I think. The kind of best rounds I've had recently have been where I've tried to plot my way around. So I've stood on the tee and I've thought, what do I need to hit here? Where do I need to be? Right, put the ball in this position, and I've got it as far as I can get it to there, then move it on to the next one and then get it on the green. Right, don't try and make this putt from 20 feet because you might potentially make a mess of this. Just knock it up, give yourself a 2 foot for a tap in for a par, or at worst a bogey. So yeah, definitely the worst part of my game is within my head. It's between my ears is the hardest part of the game for me. But it will come. I'm quite confident if I keep plugging away, then the scores will come. I became really obsessed a couple of years ago with that's the number and this is the score I need to shoot and whatever else. And then having spoken on the podcast to Logan and Eric, I kind of came to the realisation that this isn't a job for me. I'm not, whether I shoot around in the 70s or not, doesn't mean that my kids don't get fed and my mortgage doesn't get paid. So actually, it's more just handicap's really just vanity, I think. You know, what are you going to do with being a low player? Because you hear all these stories and all these pros, they're all off of plus numbers. So even getting down to scratch, I'm never going to turn pro, so I might as well just enjoy it. And see, since I kind of adopted that attitude in the last 18 months, I think my game has got better because I'm not putting as much pressure on myself to, right, I need to go out and shoot this score or I need to do whatever. That's going to be the plan for the rest of the year, and we'll just see where we can get to. I would like to get to a decent number. I think I'd like to be single at some point. Pardon me. If I could get to 9 at some point, I think that would be an acceptable handicap for the amount of years I've been playing. I've been playing for nearly 30 years. If we take in the fact I started at 10, so off and on for the last 30 years, it'd be good to try and get myself down to single figures. And the plan with this podcast, I'm going to be getting guests on. I'm going to get some pros on, some teaching pros, good low amateurs, things like that. And I'm going to just try and kind of chip them for wee tips, see if there's anything they can give me that might give me the extra wee edge on myself to try and improve. So that's me. I have let you know a bit about me. I still encourage you to get in touch with me on the social media. At Going OB Podcast on Instagram's probably the best one. I am going to get some email address set up, and don't know if people still use Facebook in this decade. I know the kids don't. I assume there is no kids listening to this, and it's potentially more an adult audience that is listening. But please reach out to me if you have a story and you want to share it. Trips away, your hole-in-one stories. I'm here to listen to them. We can get them recorded on this. We'll get them put out, and we'll highlight a lot of the stuff that's happening in the golf world. So that's me for this week. Thanks again for listening, and I'll catch you next week. Cheers.